everybody, welcome to another episode of Chamber Chat. I got a very special guest in the car today, and I'm going to let her introduce herself, and we will kick it off from there.
All right, thanks, Simon. Hi, everyone. My name is Miriam Cummins. I am the owner of MGC Consulting Services, in which my business does J.E.D.I training, equity, diversity, and inclusion training in the workplace specifically.
So, $1 million question. Why would I need, hopefully an obvious answer to most people watching, why would I need equity, diversity, and inclusion in the workplace?
Well, one is to be a successful business or a successful organization, you want to make sure that you're supporting your staff and employees for them to be successful, because when they're successful, you're successful.
Right.
So ensuring that, one, everybody's being treated equitable in the workplace.
Yep.
That what that looks like is asking your staff what is it that they need to be successful.
Sure.
So having those conversations and not making the assumption that as a supervisor, for instance, that it's like, no, it has to be done this way. No, it's like, no, you want to have those conversations. You want to make it personable, so that way they feel like they trust you.
Get some buy-in.
Exactly. And then, of course, a diverse is everybody learns differently. I learn differently, you learn differently. So really honing in into those differences of what can we do to like uplift and also help with your skills. And so and also when people ask me, it's like, you mean like having different individuals, you know, from different racial backgrounds? Yes, that's usually one of the many layers.
Sure.
But you know, because yes, it is important to have representation in the workplace. And one thing that I have noticed from businesses that have asked me is like, well, I want more people of color, for instance, in my organization, but I don't know what I'm doing wrong and why they're not applying. Well, that's when we look into those HR policies, which most of these policies were put in place many years ago. And they're not really targeted to help people of color.
Well, and it may be, correct me if I'm wrong, it may be like you just from a outwardly perspective, you may not be projecting a company, the values, or just simply the way you look as a place that's inclusive, right?
Yes. I mean, and that goes all the way from even your website. If you want more people of color, and you even, like, if you give services to customers, for instance, and you're like, hey, we provide these services, but it's only in one language, for instance. Well, people of color that apply for jobs, they're going to look at your website. They're going to see what it is that you're doing, you know, because one, you got to do your homework when you go for an interview or when you're applying. So if they see that, you know what, they say they support people that speak Spanish, for instance, but their website is only in English, words and actions are not aligning. So you can't say you're one thing and expect the other thing when you're not doing the work to show others that you are putting the effort into wanting more people of color. And I'm just using Spanish as an example.
Sure.
But that can be in any language or in any community or culture.
Well, and again, a lot of a lot of people certainly recently will look at their website, which is probably the most outward-facing tool, right? And say, do we just physically look different? And that, but to your point, that's not enough.
That's not
right.
enough.
It's like, oh, cool. We've our website now looks like we're diverse, but you've got to have the policies behind it, right?
Exactly. Well, the policies and also the tools for your staff, because one thing we've noticed with, especially in Oregon and jobs, is that people of color, if they don't feel supported in the job, they're gonna leave. So the retention is very, very low when it comes with people of color, because if they feel they're not supported, if they feel they're not welcome, if they feel they're not heard, they're gonna leave. And that means a higher turnaround of people coming in, you're training them, and then they want to leave because you don't have those tools set in place for them to feel welcome.
Yeah, no, that's great. I noticed on your fancy little badge there, there's actually another letter at the start. It's not just equity, diversity, inclusion. It's J.E.D.I. What's the J?
So J.E.D.I leader. So the ultimate goal is to become a J.E.D.I leader, and the J stands for justice. So not only do we have equity, diversity, and inclusion, but now we're incorporating the important step of justice. And that is that we're looking into those policies and how those policies were intended, and this is gonna sound harsh, but it is the truth, intended to keep people of color away.
Sure.
And so what I do, I have different levels of training. So I have beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Once a business-owned company has done the advanced level, that's when we incorporate or we talk about implementing the justice piece, because that is one of those topics where, one, if you don't know and haven't done the work of equity, diversity, and inclusion, bringing in justice is going to, you know, turn people the wrong way.
Sure.
So you first need to do what I call the basics of learning and understanding and implementing EDI in the workplace before you're ready to do justice. But for me, justice is the most important one. That's why I have it at the beginning, because justice is like
it might be the last one to sort of work out, but it should be the most important. It should be
the most important. Exactly. Yes.
And we have a, you know, and folks may know, I'm sure some people know here, so Miriam is on our board of directors, and she is the lead in our newly formed diversity committee, or 6 months, I think, newly formed. So I think if we're being totally honest, we're a good case study for that sort of thing, right?
Exactly.
You talk about outward looking, you know, how do we appear to all businesses instead of unintentionally. I think I can say that unintentionally, you know, we're not appealing, right?
Exactly. And the thing that I love about being part of the, you know, collaborative work is that we are looking into what the chamber is doing. So like from the beginning, I told you, I was like, are you sure you want me to be on the board? Because you know, I'm going to hold the board accountable and the chamber accountable. So what I did, and it was one of the first things I told Simon, was we got to look at our website. Okay, we can't just say we're going to do this, and this. We also got to do some change. And so it's like little baby steps. But then also asking those questions, and what are we doing as a chamber to help businesses of color to be able to not only be a member, but what is it that their needs are, because it's going to be different from that of those of white businesses.
Sure.
And so really honing into what is it that those businesses need and really catering it to them. Because a lot of, if we look also at the chamber history, and it's not just in Oregon, but all throughout the nation, a lot of businesses that sign up for the membership have been white. So because people of color do not know of these resources and these tools, because we didn't grow up learning about these.
Right.
So especially if you're an immigrant, you come to this country and it's like, okay, I want to start a business, but then you're not aware of these resources, these other businesses like the chamber that can help you promote your business and help you get more customers. So
and I think the pushback would be the wrong pushback would be, well, if I'm white and I'm opening a restaurant, and I'm African American and I'm opening a restaurant, or if I'm Latino and I'm opening one, surely, I mean, the restaurants run the same. They've got the same, you know, in theory, the same access to everything, right? But that's kind of the point. It's there isn't the same access. There isn't the same resources and help, because it hasn't had to be different.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, yeah, and also because the needs of each business is also different. So depending on the community that they serve.
Right.
So if you have a Mexican restaurant opening up, and the family is new to the area, or even new to the country, they're not going to know what the chamber is there for. Because one, if the chamber doesn't have information in the language that they speak, that's a barrier.
Right.
So we got to look at all those barriers that have been put in place and break those down so we can make it accessible and inclusive. That's where the word inclusive comes in.
Sure.
And what is very important to understand is we want to make sure everybody feels included and heard, and that we're here to support them. Because as this chamber, that is ultimately our goal. We are here as a tool, so utilize us.
So one of the things that I love about Miriam is that you can have these sort of blunt conversations with her, and you don't often leave a conversation with Miriam knowing, like, I wonder how she feels about this. That's not often something that happens. But I think one of the things, and I'll use myself as an example, I know that we need to be more diverse. We need to meet all of these pillars, you know, the J.E.D.I pillars. However, I'm worried about maybe doing the wrong thing, saying the wrong thing, you know, in my honest attempt to try to get better. And so it's a lame reason, but it's a reason, you know, to sort of, I'm sure people hold back a little bit, right?
No, and that is...
I don't want to screw up trying.
Exactly,
you know?
But that's the part where you have to ask for help.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, as society and as a human, we don't want to make those mistakes, you know? We want to be perfect.
Yeah.
But perfect it's not realistic.
Right.
You're going to make mistakes. I can tell you, I have made mistakes. I know, right? Shut up! I make mistakes, but the real other step to becoming a great leader also is learning and admitting that, you know what, I did make a mistake and I'm learning from it, and this is what I'm doing because I was able to learn from it. So actually acknowledging that, one, you're not perfect, and two, you're showing that humility that, you know what, I'm not perfect. I'm gonna make mistakes, but I'm gonna learn from them.
Like, for example, if you are redesigning a website and you put the Mexican flag up in the corner instead of the Spanish one. So...
Yeah, that's one
sorry
thing.
about that.
Yeah, no, I can't. Well, you know, and one thing I was telling,
honest mistake.
I know it's and I did mention it to you. I was like,
which is great.
So because we want to look at the community that we serve. All right. So if you live in an area where the majority of the Spanish-speaking individuals speak Castellano, which is the Spain Spanish, then you want to put that there.
Yeah.
But if you have a community that mostly and primarily speak Mexican Spanish, well, you want to tailor it to the community that you're serving, not just the default. So that's what I was trying to tell. It's like, look, we need to change that. Ultimately, you know, what you want to do is not have any of the flags, just have all the languages listed. Because then you're not making that assumption that we only serve, you know, this community. So ultimately, again, everything is a work in progress, and there's always going to be something that you need to improve. Always. That's life. That's usually how it is. But getting started is usually one of the hardest steps, because then you're admitting that you need help, which as humans, we don't tend to want to do that. But two is, sometimes people don't know where to start, and that's when you really try to find those individuals that can help you.
So that was actually going to be my next, that was going to be my next question. So it's not about, so if I'm like, okay, cool, I want to get a hold of Miriam, I want to take advantage of, you know, of the awesome stuff that you're doing. What's your first step going in? Or and I'm sure it varies back and forth, but what's your first week look like?
My first week, okay, so to answer that, let me explain a little bit more also what is it that I provide. Not just only the trainings for the business, but also the evaluation assessment aspect of it. So what I do is I meet with the business for, you know, depending on how long that takes. If they're interested, it could be 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, just learning about what is it that you want to do and implement. Because sometimes some businesses already have maybe an equity policy, or they have something on their website that talks about EDI, but then they don't know what to do next. So I really ask them those questions, like, okay, where are we at? And
you kind of meet them where they are.
Exactly. You have to meet them at where they're at. But also, one thing that I do separately is leadership team. If you have an organization or a business that has a leadership team, that means like the owner or the manager, like those positions. And then you have staff and employees who I also do an evaluation on to see how they're feeling. So I first focus on the leadership team, because that's where it really starts. It starts with leaders empowering their staff for them to become leaders. That is all what you want to do as a business, because then you're really honing in into what they want to do, listening to them. So I first start with the leadership team, and I ask them questions about, okay, what does your leadership look like? How do you communicate with your staff or your employees? What is it that you want to change? What do you know about equity? What do you know about diversity and inclusion? Really asking them those questions, and if they're not able to answer those questions, then that's when we're like, okay, now I know where we can start. Let's start at the fundamental basics of it, and then build up onto that. And then I give them the tools on what they can do to help their staff. So leadership, that means making sure that there's a safe place for their staff where they can provide feedback.
Yeah.
Because one thing is like, when staff tells you that they're unhappy or something's going on, it's not a personal attack on your character. It's how they're feeling in the organization.
Sure.
So you need to be open and separate your personal feelings of that of the business.
And again, speaking on behalf of, you know, us now being 6 months into this with Miriam, I think with this particular topic and you know, reaching out for help, I think there's maybe a little perception where, not you personally, but somebody's going to come in and say, you're doing this wrong, everything's wrong, you're a terrible company, you know, you're doing it all wrong.
No, and
that's
that
obviously
is,
not it.
yeah, no, and that is not my approach.
Right.
You know, I think instead of putting people or businesses down and it's like, oh my God, you're doing this wrong, it's like, okay, what can we do? It's using we, no I or you, it's we. We are gonna work on this together.
Right.
This is a collaborative effort. So I don't go in and be like, oh my God, you're doing all of this wrong. You need to
Right.
like change it all.
Right.
I don't know if I did that with you.
No.
Okay.
Gently.
I was gentle.
There was a couple were like, yeah,
I know.
you're doing
but
this wrong.
I had to
which
be
was
firm.
fine.
Though. I had to be firm because
Yeah.
I'm like, Simon, come on.
It was
now.
tough love.
It was tough love. It was. But I do look at it in a way that it's like, I'm not telling you what you're doing wrong. I'm telling you what could change so you can be more successful.
Yeah.
And really be that role model for not only your employees but your customers of, you know what, I hear you and I'm here to make change.
We're gonna fix it.
Exactly. And so I don't like, so what I do with these assessments, so I look at everything. Okay. I look at the website, I look at the policies, everything, the leadership team, the organization, I look at the mission statement or the company. I look, like, I go on there with a fine-tooth comb, you know, and I just get in there, and then I make an evaluation or report. And I said, okay, these are the things that I noticed that maybe we could change to have it be better, like best practice.
Sure.
Of course, it's up to them if they want to implement those changes or if they want to work on them. But ultimately, I'm here as a tool.
Yeah.
So I'm here letting you know, this is what I observed, this is what I'm noticing, these are some things we could change if you're open to it. You know, also I say these are the good things you're also doing, that it's helping, because you also have to have the good and the bad. You can't just focus on the bad. But yeah, really looking at it with.
No, and it's cool. And I can tell you guys, it's been painless. It's been a really good experience so far. And we're not even like getting into the deep stuff.
I know, we're not even getting in there. Like I'm like really
dear.
like there's gonna be some work.
There's gonna be some tears. No, it'll be fine. Hey, one of the things that we do on Chamber Chat is obviously, yes, you know, this is, and especially this particular topic is very important.
Yes.
But we do want to keep it you know, learning about the people behind the business too. So if you're cool with it, can we ask a couple questions about you, see who you are?
Snappers. Okay, yeah.
Is that cool?
Go ahead. Cool.
All right, cool. So some quick fire questions. See what you come up with.
All right.
What TV show are you binge watching now?
Ooh, I just finished watching The Witcher. Oh my gosh. And I'm actually binge watching
with Henry Cavill.
Oh my gosh, I know. I have a big crush on him. Like, if you're watching this,
oh yes, I'm sure.
Holla.
I'm sure he's gonna tune in.
Hey, you never know.
Oh, he might.
But the other show that I just actually finished watching last night, the episode, because it comes out every Wednesday, is the Book of Boba Fett. Star Wars, Disney Plus. Chapter 6 came out last night. I watched it. I waited till midnight to watch it.
So here's you may not know this about Miriam. It's ridiculous how heavy a Star Wars fan she is. Like borderline crazy.
I am. Okay, I am so much so that when I came up with the J.E.D.I leader, I was like, oh my God, that's perfect.
This is amazing.
Because not only is like my values and my pillars for my organization, but it's like, it really hones in into my nerdiness.
Yeah.
Which I love. I love being a nerd, and I'm proud to say it. I'm a nerd. I love Star Wars. I love Harry Potter. I mean, I love Pokemon. Yeah, I play the card game and the computer game and the video games. Okay, I do all of that. And I also have a Star Wars tattoo. So.
And I picked Miriam up at our house today. If you go in your house, there's an entire crazy ceiling wall thing
of Legos
and thing.
Yes,
it's cool.
love Legos. Okay, so
I was like, hey, does an adult live here? I was like, what's going on? But it's cool.
No adults live here, only kids. No, I love Legos, and my kids love Legos.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like one of those things that I have 2 kids, by the way. That's a little info about me. And so when
are they allowed to play with any of this stuff?
Not with those.
You don't play with these ones.
No, not with
Here's
those.
the dollar store Legos for you guys.
No, I don't do that.
Whatever.
I give them the good Legos. Like, there's Lego City, Lego Friends, all of those. That to me is like, okay, you can have those. Okay. But when it comes to Star Wars Legos, Harry Potter Legos, and the Super Mario Legos, those are mine. You do not touch those. You see That's why they're up there.
You see the crazy coming out right now?
I'm a collector when it comes to that, and apparently I've heard that it's one of the good investments you can do. It's to buy Legos, and
really,
I
will say, I got teenagers now, so they're not so much into Legos, but we have nieces and nephews that when we bought Legos for them, it ain't cheap.
Oh, they're not. They're definitely not. That's why when I do buy them, it's like, how much do I want?
Yeah, like Legos when I was a kid, I was like, all right, well,
They've always been expensive. That's why I didn't have them growing up. But now as an adult, I'm like, now I can buy them. I make my own money. I can buy them.
It's a piece of plastic. It's good.
Not.
It's cool.
It's your imagination.
Favorite food? If you could have your death row meal, one last meal, what does that plate look like?
Man, that's a hard one.
Oh, we asked the tough questions here.
I know. Shoot. I'm trying to think. I would have to say tamales.
Yeah? Why?
I mean, it's just because you can make different flavors of tamales.
Are you making them yourself or a restaurant?
No, I would have someone that I know and trust make them. I mean, there's some restaurants that do make them, that taste wonderful.
Yeah.
But for me, I would have to be someone I trust.
You got a plug? You got a plug for a favorite restaurant?
Oh, I do. Okay. So if I'm
Please be a chamber member. Please be a chamber member.
Well, I don't know yet, but it's in Albany.
It's okay.
I mean, if we're talking Corvallis, I can give you a Corvallis one.
Okay.
But since
give me your favorite.
Okay, my favorite. When it comes to Mexican food, I'm picky as heck. Okay. Me being Mexican, I'm like, okay, I need to know how authentic they are.
All right.
So if you are wanting Mexican food and you're like, you know what, I'm craving it. What does Miriam recommend? Because she really does her homework.
Sure.
I would say Los Tequilas restaurant. They're my go-to. I always they have such beautiful, friendly staff there. They know you. It's such a lovely environment.
What makes the perfect tamale? What makes the perfect tamale?
Oh my gosh, la masa. It's the dough.
Okay. That's the key. That's
the key, because if it's too stiff, it's not gonna work. If it's too soggy, it's not gonna work. It has to be perfect.
Okay.
And then you add either the meat, the red sauce, green sauce. They have some sugar ones. I mean, yeah. So I met this person at the farmer's market in Albany, and she makes tamales. El Sazon, I think that's her name.
Are they vegan? She makes vegan ones as well. My wife just came, I know, maybe 6 months ago, came home with some of these.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Sells them out of a little cooler, right?
Yes, at the farmer's market.
Legit.
That's where I get my tamales too.
So that's good stuff for us.
So yes, and it's vegan. So here's the awesome part. She makes these pumpkin tamales. I've never had them in my life.
You lost me. You just lost me.
Really? You don't like pumpkin?
That's horrendous.
What?
Pumpkin anything.
No, you have to try this.
No.
It was so delicious. And I was skeptical. I'm like, oh man, girl, it's a pumpkin. I don't know. But oh my God, I had to go back the next following weekend and buy more. And now so I have some in my freezer, and I'm slowly eating them because it's I don't want to eat all of them all at once.
Okay.
Because I want to savor them. But yeah, no, she makes also some red. I think it's chicken and pork tamales. They're really good. And then the other one that is my absolute favorite is the rajas.
We're still talking about food.
We're still talking about food.
We'll get on to the next one.
Yeah. Okay. Rajas, which has jalapeno and cheese in the tamal. And then, anyway, those... Okay, what?
You're like, can we pull over and get food somewhere now?
Yeah, I was going to say.
You actually would. What was your worst class at school?
Oh, snap. High school, college.
Let's go high school.
Oh, shoot.
Come on.
I was a good student. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, history.
Really?
I did not like history.
Why not?
Because it was depressing. Okay, and because let me explain. Yes, history is depressing, but it was only the history that I never really felt like I connected with. We learned about the U.S. Constitution and all this, but it was all I felt like you know how they say that those that win the war write history?
Yeah.
Well, it really was like that.
Write history. Yeah.
You know, so I really didn't get to learn about Mexican history, and if I did, it was always the bad. You know, the Mexicans were the bad people.
Oh yeah.
You know, the Mexican-American War.
Right.
You know, stuff like that, and then people will look at me like, "Oh, that's you. You were one of those bad people," and I'm like, I wasn't even alive. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, history.
Did you have a turning point where you kind of, in not necessarily some one wow moment or anything, but do you have a turning point where you're like, this is what I need to do, this is important? In
what, in my job or in my advocacy?
Yeah, maybe I don't know, both.
Both? Okay.
One or the other, I don't know.
Yeah. So I had a couple of those. I'll just mention the one that pops into my head. Yeah. So in 2019. My kids were in school, and I noticed that there were policies being implemented in the school districts that I was like, you know what, I want to be heard. I'm hearing from my community that these things are not being done. You know, meetings were not in Spanish, you know, during the school board meetings, and you know, just really not accessible to the community that was, if you didn't speak English, you had no idea what was going on.
Right.
So what I decided to do, my aha moment was you know what? I'm going to run for office. I'm going to run for school board.
That's right.
And because I feel that I can bring that voice, that representation that we need in our community. And so I did. In 2019, I ran for school board for Greater Albany Public School and for Lynn Benton Lincoln ESD. And I know people tell me you ran for 2. I'm like, crazy. I know. I did it though. I did win 1, which was the Lynn Benton Lincoln ESD. So I am an elected official to the Lynn Benton Lincoln ESD school board. And I got to tell you, we are doing a lot of good work there. You know, I am the first person of color to be in the school board with Lynn Benton Lincoln ESD. And one of the youngest, which is okay. Again, it's those barriers that we got to knock down.
I mean, 24 is young to be elected.
Heck yeah, I know, man. I look good at 24 right now. I'm 34. Just add 10 more to that. But yeah, I mean, that was my aha moment, because when you hear from the community that, you know, they don't feel heard or represented, you want to do something, and I actually did, and I ran for office, which also led to my 2020 to run for state representative for House District 15, because again, having that representation and that voice. I didn't win that election, but I feel that's a start, and also people now know that I'm someone that if you have questions, you can always reach out to me, especially within the community. No,
that's awesome. Last question.
Yes.
This little thing called COVID. You know, it's kind of messed up last couple of years.
No, really?
It's all gloom and doom and it seems like we're getting better. We're in February.
We go like this and then that.
February 2022. We're filming this. What's something positive that's come out of COVID for you? This whole pandemic thing.
Wow, working from home. To be honest with you, I know it sounds weird, but the flexibility. That brings, because I have a child with special needs, so sometimes I get a call from the school, and if I was at an office, for instance, I wouldn't be able to leave and go talk to the school about what's going on. But having that flexibility of, you know, just being there for my kid when, you know, I can work from home, or I'm at a Zoom meeting, and that's another plus is Zoom meetings. Now I feel like more people are getting involved in politics or getting involved in advocacy, because the tool is right there at their fingertips. So I feel the good thing about COVID, it's like that blessing in disguise, is that now it's all of these other issues of that have been systemic are coming up. And so, which is good. I mean, it's
uncomfortable,
good. It's
but
uncomfortable, but it's good. But it also is showing how some of the systems that we're Yeah.
They're like, hey, I gotta call Miriam right now. And get a hold of you. What? Give them the info. How do they get a hold of you?
The info. All right. So multiple easy ways.
Yeah.
I have my website. So www.mgcconsultingservices.com, which I think I'll put it in the link.
I will.
And you can also call me, text me. I also have social media platforms you can reach out to me. I have Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn.
All the things.
Oh, I mean, yeah, and TikTok, because now I'm starting. So here's a little sneak peek,
You're going after
guys.
the teen crowd? Is that what we're doing?
Well, it's not, well, yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Of course. I mean, come on, I'm a millennial, okay? Us millennials love TikTok,
Sure.
okay? Just saying.
Yeah.
But a little sneak peek here. I'm going to be starting a podcast.
Oh.
To talking about these important conversations we need to have. So I'm working on that. So that will also be on my website.
Nice.
And on TikTok. Like that's why I said if you have any of those social media platforms, I'm gonna put it out there. And then so you can reach out to me that way by messaging me, emailing me, calling me. Let's see what other thing I have out there. Like I'm trying to be as accessible.
You got a phone number?
My phone number? Yeah. You want my phone number? How are people gonna call you?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
It'd be easier. Oh, I'll put it in there.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But what if you're listening to this on the radio?
You're right. Okay, so my phone number is all right, it's 541-602-2740. So you can actually text me. Sometimes I prefer text.
Yeah.
But
everybody prefers text, really.
I know.
What's a phone call?
And also it makes it like you don't have to talk to someone and make that awkward.
Right.
You know, but still, like texting, sometimes I can be at a meeting and I can text, you know, right away.
Yeah.
So.
Give Miriam a call. Seriously, it was, we're doing it right now. It's super cool. It can get uncomfortable, and that's good.
You gotta get uncomfortable with the uncomfortable.
We all need to get a little bit better.
Yeah.
Thanks for sitting in the car with me.
Yeah, thanks for...
We'll catch you guys on the next episode of Chamber Chat.
Yeah.
See you later.